So long, long ago, not so far away, there was a god. This is a story from the Indian gods. In the Indian gods, there's many gods. And this Indian god, he would take his attention and sitting up there in the heavens, and he would look down on earth and he would see the humans, and he was like, they don't make any sense. My God, they say one thing, they do another, they wish everybody happiness, but then they treat each other with misery. These humans, they make no sense. They try to be happy, but they suffer. What's going on? So he goes to his good friend Shiva one day, after watching them for, thousands of years. He goes, Shiva, I have a question. These humans, they make no sense. And he described what he saw. It's like they do all this suffering, but they have so much possibility for beauty and love and happiness, but they suffer instead. What's up with that? And Shiva says, well, it's because of Maya. And the god goes, well, what's Maya? And Shiva says, don't ask me about Maya. Let's go away. Don't ask about Maya. And the god, respecting Shiva's wisdom, says, okay, I don't ask about Maya. Goes back to enjoying, his life and has a cup of tea. And then he, 1,000 years has passed and he finishes his tea and he looks down at the humans and they're still playing their games, doing all the suffering. And his curiosity is killing him. He's like, what's going on with these humans? And so he goes to ask Shiva again and says, you told me not to bother you about this, but I still see it and it troubles me. And so again, Shiva tells him, don't ask about Maya. And the guy goes, okay, Shiva, I respect what you say. And he goes back and he has a nap and he wakes up. 1,000 years go by and it's like the humans are still doing that. It's like all this time. It's like generation after generations suffering when there's so much beauty and love and possibility. And so he goes back to Shiva. He says, I gotta know, what's this Maya? And so Shiva says, okay, you're serious? You really want to know? And the guy says, yes, I want to know. He says, okay. And Shiva hands him a an empty glass. He says, go to earth and bring me, fill up the glass of water and bring me a glass of water and I will teach you about Maya. And the guy says, oh, simple enough. So like a ray of light, he shoots down to earth. Of course, now to fill his glass of water, he needs to manifest himself into a form. He or she, I'm not sure which. Okay, so I'll go back and forth. Maybe she, maybe he. Anyways, so she takes a form of a human man. It's a glass of water. He goes knocking on the first door he sees in this beautiful kind of farm. A little bit run down, but it's a bit of land. Knocks on the door. Beautiful woman answers. It's like, oh, so beautiful. Like his whole body responds, this wonderful sensation. Ah, beauty. And for a moment, he forgets why he's there. And then she's like, well, can I help you? He tries to remember. Oh, yes. Seeing what's in his hand. I'd like a glass of water, please. I can fill this up. And she starts crying. And it's like, what did I do? What happened? What happened here? This makes no sense. And he's like, what happened? Why are you crying? And she starts sobbing, telling the story, how the well is broken and they can't pump the water. Pump is broken and they can't get water because her father passed away who had the farm and her husband was killed in a war. And here she is trying to take care of the farm and everything's falling apart because she's overwhelmed. And it's like, well, I can help with that. So she points out where the pump is, and he goes out to the back and he fixes the pump. He's a god. He can do things like that. And so he fixes the pump, and he comes back. He says, I fixed the pump. And she's like, oh, so relieved, so happy. She hugs him and thanks him and says, here, let me cook you food. She makes him a nice, beautiful meal. And he has this wonderful food. This tastes delicious. He's so grateful. It's so wonderful. And they start talking, and she talks about the other challenges on the farm and the other things to broken down and fixed. And he's like, well, this will be easier. Saw how happy she was. Just I fixed one pump for the water. Like, I can make her so happy. I'm going to do these other things. And he says, don't worry about it. I will take care of these things. And so, night comes and his body's tired. So he goes to sleep. And the next morning he gets up and he starts fixing fences, and cutting some wood for the fire for the winter. And then, but the list is longer. And so the next day he's doing more things. But each time he does something, she's so happy. And her light, she was so grateful. And he sees this is so beautiful. He wants some more. He's like, to see her light turn on, like, that's beautiful. And so he's like, oh. And so tomorrow he wants to do some more things for her. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And he so sees, and she's so happy with him, and he's so happy to see her, so happy, Well, and so it goes, and boy, he loves to see her like that. She loves him. He's like, I want to spend more time with her. And he asks to marry her. Of course, she says yes, and they have children together. And they're very happy raising their children. And of course, he's a god, so the farm prospers more, and they have more cows and goats and sheep or whatever they're raising, and more carrots and potatoes, and they get to sell some in town. And, and then they have some more money, so they buy some more land and they grow some more farms. So he's more busy. And he has more trees to clear and more wood to cut, which he can sell and make more money and buy more land. And it's all very growing. And he's busy because he got to see how much work he could do and see her so happy. And so he really started to do a lot of work. And then the people in town, they notice, wow, he's very capable. He's very organized. He knows how to take care of things. We need to make him mayor. And so they invite him to be mayor. And of course, he says, well, the other people I can make happy too. And so he decides to help the people in the town by being the mayor and organize the community and help with the school and find a teacher who will teach the children and help the children, and a nurse to help in the healthcare. And it goes on and on. And it surprises happy, because one of the children, he starts doing drugs, and now he's off, in the opium dens, and he's doing drugs, and he has to try and go find him all the time. And he brings him home, trying to get to work. But as soon as he turns away, his son's off doing drugs. And the other girl, because he was so busy, he wasn't really seeing what's happening with his children. And his woman, she had so much to care for around the house with the goats and the sheep and bringing in the crops. These kids, they got out of control. And she's drinking and she gets pregnant. Now they have a child. And now there's a question of the whole community, like, what kind of father is this? And do we really want a mayor? And so they get rid of him as mayor, and well, it's a lot of drama. And then he becomes very sad because he made the townspeople unhappy, and they were unhappy with him and didn't want to talk to him for a while because he was ostracized, he was bad. And his children are not talking to him. He becomes very kind of depressed. And so now the crops are not really paying attention to, and so he loses a lot of money, he has to sell some land. It's a lot of troubles. And now, since he's not taking care of anything, his wife is very unhappy with him and talks to him about what a problem he is when he used to be so great. Now he's more miserable. He's less motivated to want to do anything. And he just wants to tune it all out. And in trying to tune everything out, just number everything out, he doesn't hear somebody screaming, because there's a voice screaming inside him somewhere, and he can't find the voice. He's not hearing it, but the whole time the voice is screaming, "Where's my glass of water? Where's my glass of water? Where's my glass of water?" But he just wants everything to shut up, so he shuts that voice up too. But it gets so bad, and he knows he has to go fight and push things out. And so he says, hell with it. In spite of all this, I'm going to show you. And so he goes back to work, but this time he goes back to work with anger, and he's angry, and he fixes more fences, and he cuts more wood, and he shames his children into behaving, and he gets them to pay attention and be in line with the rules. He punishes them so they don't go running off. And he puts order to everything. And he gets that land back that he lost, and he plants it, and he makes the food, and he gets the crops, and he sells the money. He shows his wife, "There, I did it. You happy now?" And she's, of course, not happy. Now, yes, there's food on the table, but being spoken to with that tone, she's very unhappy. And he's like, "I did what you want, and now you're still unhappy." And the voice of anger is screaming inside it so loud, he doesn't hear Shiva crying out, "Hey, where's my glass of water?" And so it goes. But his kids get raised, and they start taking over the farm, and he becomes old. And they have their own children, and they're taking care of the farms next to him. And they help him out because now he's old and slow, and he can't do as much. And his wife, she just tries to ignore him because, man, he's so angry for not getting everything he wants. And I don't know what to do with him, but he scares me. But he's a good provider, so I'm not going to leave him. Until he's so old, he's so tired, all he can do is lay in bed until he finally gives up the fight. He finally gives up the fight. He's ready to die. He's ready to let it all go. He lets all the anger go. He lets all the hurt go, disappointment. He lets all their sad faces go in his mind of people who are disappointed with him. He lets all the memories go. There's one still there. Now he hears it. And it's that memory of Shiva. Where's my glass of water? And he remembers Shiva, and he remembers his nature and who he is, what he is. And he sees the body there that he picked up long ago. And he goes, "Okay, that's not me either." And he zips back on his ray of light. He zooms back to Shiva. He says, "Shiva." Shiva says, "Where's my glass of water? I'm going to teach you about Maya." And the god goes, "I don't want to know anything more about Maya. Thank you very much. No, thank you." And he goes back to sipping his tea. Do you know enough about Maya yet?